I went to the Department of Home Affairs in Cape Town, and I thought that they might be able to assist me regarding my like renewing my visa or something. That's what I thought. So unfortunately, I was arrested by the Home Affairs, and I was sent to Poolsmore Prison in Cape Town. This curiosity gave me so much desire to understand how those things work. That's why I decided to study theoretical physics, and I was willing to sacrifice everything just to achieve that goal. Whatever you go through, don't think about what you're going through now, because as long as you totally believe in what you're doing, just you have to believe that somehow things are going to work out for you.
Welcome to your favorite podcast, 1000 African Voices, broadcasting from an African perspective. 1000 African Voices is a program aimed at breaking down the boundaries that divide us as a continent, the boundaries that divide our beautiful people. You can also find the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast by searching for 1000 African Voices. Our website address is 1000africanvoices.com. We are calling this series Africa's Future Reimagined, where we demystify what the fourth industrial revolution means for our beautiful continent. Your host is Abouelrous. Welcome.
1000 African Voices.
Hello, African. Welcome to yet another episode of your favorite podcast, 1000 African Voices. And today we're going all the way to Cairo, Egypt. I'll allow the guest to fully introduce himself. I'm really excited to share this story on our platform. But without further ado, gonna introduce our guest. Hi, Amir.
Hi, Abouelrous. How are you doing today?
Doing really well. How are you?
Very good. I'm very good.
Amir, do you mind just introducing yourself to the listeners of 1000 African Voices?
Right, that will be my pleasure. My name is Amir Abouelrous. I was originally born in Egypt and in Cairo. And just like everybody else, I went to college and I studied science. My major in science was, in the beginning, it was geophysics. But after graduation, I decided that I wanted to study physics and continue research in theoretical physics. I had a dream of becoming a scientist, but unfortunately, my family and friends never understood me. So I decided that I wanted to travel somewhere to a foreign country where I can pursue my dream of studying physics. That's one of my goals in life. My other goal is I always wanted to become a motivational speaker. I always wanted to inspire people to pursue their dreams. And since I realized that in Egypt, no one really understood my goals and dreams, so that's when I decided to travel to South Africa in 2012 to pursue my dreams of studying physics and becoming a motivational speaker.
I mean, when you say people in Egypt did not understand your dreams, what do you mean? Like, if I say I want to study geophysics or physics in Egypt, what is it about that people could not understand? Just for context.
Okay, you see, once I decided initially to study geophysics, it actually made sense to everyone. Geophysics, it's much related to mining and, the gas industry and all that. So, to everyone, they thought okay, well, after graduation, Amir can get a good job and, start his life and all that. So once I decided to study physics and, to switch to a whole different field, they never understood how I'm going to make a living out of physics, why I actually wanted to study physics. It didn't make sense to anyone. Nobody really understood why I wanted to study physics. So that's when I realized like I needed to travel to a foreign country and, like to pursue that dream on my own, like to depend on myself on that.
And were they right? So maybe let's fast forward now. So now you've made the decision to go to a foreign country. You pick South Africa, you arrive in South Africa, and then what happens after that?
Okay, that's where the real story starts. That's where the real story starts. So what I did is I obtained a tourist visa. Was valid actually for 30 days. I wanted to go there on a study visa, but it wasn't possible to. I wasn't able to find any scholarships, so I decided that I'll just travel even on a tourist visa, and somehow I'll find a way to study in South Africa. So that's what I did in 2012. I traveled to South Africa only with a tourist visa valid for 30 days. And I didn't know how it's going to work out. I didn't know how I was going to go to college. I didn't know how I'm going to make it to become a motivational speaker, but my heart just told me that this is the right thing and somehow things are going to work out. So what happened is during the first 4 years from 2012 till 2016, I actually struggled with odd jobs. I used to do any kind of work. And during that time or period, I actually also used to study at home. I used to study on my own. I used to download, books and all that. And I had to study on my own because at that time, I never had any valid visa to study physics. And in 2014, I obtained a refugee document valid for 4 years. That's when I decided I was actually now legal in South Africa. I had the opportunity now to apply to a university. So in 2015, I applied to the University of Johannesburg to study physics. And initially I applied I wanted to continue my postgraduate studies in physics. So I was actually rejected. They told me they cannot accept me in the physics program unless I start from the first year. So that's actually really disappointed me. And I felt like giving up at that moment. But then I just thought like I had to go on because this was my dream to continue studying physics. So I had to go on, and somehow I met a friend. He told me, why don't you go to Wits University, try your luck there? And so once I went to Wits, I actually remember the first day I went to Wits, I just fell in love with Wits. It's once I went to the East Campus in Braamfontein, I knew that this is where I'm going to study physics. So my heart was right because once I went there to apply, I was accepted for the honors degree in physics in 2016. And that was actually part of my dream coming true. The first 4 years actually were so difficult. And actually in 2014, in January 2014, I went to the Department of Home Affairs in Cape Town, and I thought that they might be able to assist me regarding my renewing my visa or something. That's what I thought. So unfortunately, I was arrested by the Home Affairs, and I was sent to Poolsmoor prison in Cape Town. And I was told actually that once I leave prison, I was going to be deported back to Egypt. So that was actually one of the most difficult times in my life. I traveled to South Africa to pursue my dream of studying physics, and I wanted to become a motivational speaker. I wanted to inspire people to live their dreams, and there I am, staying in prison, waiting to be deported back to Egypt. So it was a very tough time for me. But all I had at that time was hope. That's the whole thing I had at that time, hope. Because just imagine, I was even sleeping on the floor in prison. I didn't even have a bed to sleep on. So the only thing that helped me to hang on at that time was hope. I believed that somehow I was going to get out of prison. Somehow I was going to go back to college. So I was very fortunate in 2016 when Wits accepted me for the honors degree in physics.
So Palmer's prison, so far, and not to make light of their hardship, but so far, it sounds like at this point, life is really preparing you to be an amazing public speaker. I mean, if you don't have a story, and your life has been smooth, I would imagine it's really difficult to motivate people that are without hope. But on a serious note, can we talk a bit about your time in prison? Is it as bad as how it's depicted in the movies? How was your experience behind bars?
Like it's just something I need to make note of. Like once I speak of those difficult times right now, it seems to me like I'm actually excited when I'm talking about them now, because I knew like they were preparing me to become, what I am now. But during that time, it was really tough. But what I can tell you is to be honest, the first week was really difficult. I was thinking like, why did I get in here? Because like most, if not all, the prison inmates, they were actually charged with real crimes. I mean, like murder and robbery, rape, and all that. So I was thinking to myself, the only thing I did was I broke, like I overstayed my tourist visa, and I understood that it's something that's actually considered not. I mean, it's not like a crime, but it's actually illegal because I'm still breaking the law of the country because I had overstayed. But I was thinking I didn't do anything wrong. Like, why do I have to get to this place? But I have to be honest, like after 2 weeks, I started getting used to, like not it's not really like you love the place, but you start making friends. I don't know how you make friends in prison, but I really did start making friends there, and we start getting used to the food and all that. But there were two things I was actually missing in prison. I actually had to study physics. One of my goals is to study physics and become a theoretical physicist. So during the time before going to vets, I used to study every day. And once I went to prison, I didn't have that opportunity. And that actually made it very difficult for me in prison. That's the one thing. The second thing is I always love to work out, to go to the gym and train. So obviously I wasn't allowed to train in prison. So all I had to do were like, push-ups, pull-ups, and all that. We had to invent ways to train, So, but prison life, it's very tough. But what I know is I did meet some people there who were really like, they didn't, I felt like these people I met so many people who, I mean, they seem to be really good people who don't deserve to actually end up in prison. But somehow, due to circumstances or the way they were brought up or their friends who had the peer pressure and all that, this is what caused them to end up in prison. But I felt that so many of them had the potential to change. So many of them had the potential to make a difference in their communities instead of being cast away in prison and all that. So I did learn a lot because life in prison, it's not the same as outside.
I mean, what you're touching on when it comes to incarcerating people, keeping people behind bars, you get someone who's destined for great things, and maybe one day they do something wrong, and then they end up in prison for whatever time, 10, 20 years. It's really sad. So when you say some of the individuals that you met are people that didn't need to be there, it goes back to the whole issue of prison reform. But that's probably a topic for another day. What is interesting me in your story, from what you've said, is in prison you were not allowed to exercise. My experience of prison is based on TV, movies, and series, and all they seem to do, the prisoners, that is exercise. So when you say you had to improvise, was it enough for someone who likes to exercise? Were you still able to keep yourself fit?
Okay, you see, like I didn't. I'm sorry for that. I didn't give the exact details. Like it's because like once I went to prison, I was asking people like, is there a way I can find books to read or a gym and all that? So they told me you can get access to such facilities, but I mean, like you need to be sentenced. I mean, you need to be charged with a crime, and you need to be sentenced already. I mean, a prisoner. If I'm already sentenced, then I mean, they'll give you the permission to train and you have a permission to go to the library and all that. But once once I'm locked, waiting for trial and all that, no, you're not allowed to train and all that. They just lock you up. I mean, for the whole week, they only allow you to go for exercise like about 30 minutes or an hour the whole week. But if you are sentenced, they give you the permission. Yeah, they give you the permission to train and all that.
Okay. No, I understand. So to get the privilege of exercising and accessing the library, you first need to be sentenced. So you have to go through that hurdle.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So yeah, the fact that we're talking to you now means at some point you were able to leave prison. Do you remember how it felt the day you stepped out? I don't know if there was any feeling or if it was just like any ordinary day for you. Do you remember the moment when you stepped out of prison?
To be honest, I felt like I was born again. I felt like I was a new life. I felt like it was my first time to travel to South Africa. I felt like all the time I spent in South Africa, previously it's like I felt like I was a newcomer now to South Africa. That's the first feeling I had. The second feeling I had was, I felt like I had a second chance, like life has given me a second chance. Like someone telling you, look, I gave you a chance, you messed up. Now look, I'm giving you a second one. Don't mess up that one too. So I felt like life has given me now a second chance, and I knew then this is the only chance left I have, and I had to prove myself somehow. I knew that I cannot now that chance anymore, because life will not give us so many chances. Most of the time we get one or two chances, and if you don't take them, if we don't grab those opportunities and those chances with all our stress, it won't come again. So that was the feeling I had when I left prison.
Okay, so you step out, it feels like you were born again. You were in this country, South Africa, for the first time. And now, probably in your mind, you decided, now I'm really going to take advantage of this second chance. What happened after? Were you able to take advantage of the realization that now you were given a second chance or second opportunity to do things differently? Were you able to do that? If you don't mind just taking us through what happened after you left prison.
Yes, definitely. Okay, after leaving prison, that was in March 2014. So I went to Department of Home Affairs in Pretoria, and I got an asylum paper valid for 30 days. And then I spent the next 6 or 7 months, struggling to get the refugee document. And finally, in October 2014, I got the refugee document valid for 4 years. That's when I decided now it's time to live my dream now of going to college and studying physics. So that's when now I applied. I went I applied to the University of Johannesburg in 2015, and as I just mentioned earlier, I was rejected because I was told that my undergraduate degree is in geophysics, and now I told them I want to continue my postgraduate studies in physics. So they told me, look, the only way to do that is by going back to the first year. So I told them I can't just go back to the first year now. I've already studied for 4 years. Why should I go back now to the first year? So that was the reason why they refused to allow me or rejected my proposal to continue postgraduate studies in physics. That's when I decided to go to Wits University, and fortunately I was accepted. I was immediately accepted, and so I started then my honors degree in physics in 2016 at Wits. And I just want to mention that my first year at Wits was I think it was my most difficult, my most difficult college year, my most difficult school year, because I had to stake everything on that, on passing that, on graduating, because I didn't know what else I was going to do with my life if I never made it through. I had no options. I had no plan B. I didn't know if I had failed, where else am I going to go? That was the opportunity I was fighting for. Now I have it. So I knew then that I have to pass. I have to make it somehow. So, it was very difficult this year for me. But fortunately, I had so many, friends and our professors were so positive and they were so willing to help. So I took advantage of all the, everything, of the good people that were able to help me. I worked hard and I was able to successfully complete my honors degree.
I mean, at this point, I'm sure some listeners are thinking, man, the kind of trouble Amir went through to study physics, to move from one country on the far end of the continent to the opposite side just to study theoretical physics. And at this point, at least I'm one of those. I'm wondering, man, what is so amazing about theoretical physics that you were willing to go through all of that? First, what does a theoretical physicist, what does that person do? And why is it so important in your life to be a theoretical physicist?
That's a really good question, Avrangi. A theoretical physicist is a person who studies nature, okay? But I mean, he doesn't actually use experiments and all that. He tries to formulate how nature works using models and equations and all that. He tries to understand how actually the universe works. I mean, starting from planets, stars, and galaxies and all that to atoms and molecules and electrons. We try to understand how all that works, how the dynamics of those systems work using models and theories and equations. That's mostly what a theoretical physicist does. And going to the reason why I really wanted to study theoretical physics is actually a deep desire to understand how the universe works. I really wanted to understand the fundamental, I really wanted to understand how atoms and molecules and electrons and, how all those things, how all those tiny objects, interact, how they move, how they actually build the universe we see around us today. So this curiosity built, it gave me so much desire to understand how those things work. That's why I decided to study theoretical physics, and I was willing to sacrifice everything just to achieve that goal.
And now, has your curiosity been satisfied? And now that you've gone through the trouble, do you feel that you have met your heart's desire? Do you understand the universe now?
I mean, when it comes to knowledge, there's no limit. I mean, there's no. We can never get to a point where we say we are satisfied with where we are. And when it comes to theoretical physics, it's extremely not just complicated, but until now, there's so many questions that we don't have answers for. And where I stand right now, I believe I'm just starting to understand the basics of theoretical physics. I don't even know the details yet. I just feel that I'm beginning to understand the basics of how the universe works. And I do believe that maybe I need another 100 years to really understand how things work. But knowledge will never end. So theoretical physics, it's an extremely wide and extremely complicated field of science. And we can never say that we completely understand it at the moment. We still need a lot of time to understand how it actually, how the fundamental forces work and all that. So we still need a lot of time for that.
Yeah. I suppose that's one of the great ironies of life, that the more you understand a subject, the more you recognize just how much you don't understand the subject and how much there is to know. And I suppose usually there just isn't enough time for you to get across it all. But when I think of someone like an Elon Musk, I know he has studied different things, but he seems to have found a way to commercialize what he knows or the information that he has access to. I don't know if that's someone you follow, but when you talk about physics, and I know that he's not a physicist, but he's someone who I think it's fair to say is on a mission to understand the universe and do something about it. But I don't know if that's something that you follow, Amir, from
in terms of what a person can do when they understand how the universe works. I'm just curious to get your perspective on that. People like Elon, amongst others.
Yes, I understand. I believe that Elon he's one of the very few people who are able to commercialize, science or physics normal. It's very difficult to do that actually, because most researchers, I don't think they actually have a lot of opportunities in business and all that. They just focus, on research and how to solve the issue. The physical problem. So I do believe Elon is one of the few geniuses who are actually able to somehow not just, not just understand the theoretical side of the science, but to somehow transform it in a way that can actually benefit humanity in a way. It can actually benefit humanity directly. Because if I had to speak about, for example, if I had to speak about the theory of relativity, for example, it has a lot of practical application and it actually has made our life different. But for someone like Einstein, I don't think he envisioned so many practical applications. He just wanted to understand the relativity theory itself. He just wanted to formulate that. I don't think he had an idea of how far it can, I don't think he had a vision of the applications or the effect it could have on our lives. So I do believe that most scientists or researchers are not really concerned that much with, the real applications of the research. Very few of them do that, and I do believe that this is something most researchers and scientists need to do, like to find ways, practical ways to make that theoretical knowledge useful for people.
No, I totally agree. I think most of us are just interested in understanding things, and people like Elon say, okay, yes, I understand it, but what can we do with it practically? Amir, as we're getting to the end of the conversation, the whole time that you were taking us through your story, I kept thinking, if you could relive the life that you've had in the last 10 years or so, if you had an opportunity to make a different decision, do you think you will do it the same way? Do you think you'll follow the same path? Or in hindsight, do you think that you probably would have chosen to rather stay in Egypt and pursue something else? Would you do it again, I suppose is what I'm asking.
I'll do it all again. I'll do it all again. No, it's, I don't even have to think twice about that. But you see, there's something I need to point at. It's extremely important. During my time in South Africa, during the first, second, third year, once I was in the middle of all those difficulties and all that, it's difficult for me. There were a lot of times I was thinking to myself, am I doing the right thing? There were times I was homeless. There were times I didn't even have food for days to eat. It was extremely difficult going to prison, all that struggle. And so there were a lot of times I was thinking to myself, did I do something wrong? But I think that's confirmed for me that I was doing the right thing. I think that was it was telling me I was going on the right path. And I believe that this is something that everyone should really understand, is that if you're doing something you truly believe in, something that you truly want to do, something you deeply desire to achieve, whether or not, whatever you go through, don't think about what you're going through now, because as long as you totally believe in what you're doing, you have to believe that somehow things are going to work out for you. And that's what I started believing. I had to convince myself that somehow things are going to work out because this is what I wanted to do. And it ended up the way I actually wanted it. I graduated with a master's degree from WITS in 2019. I started doing my motivational talks. I actually shared my story with so many people, so many organizations in South Africa. So many people actually have given me positive remarks about my story. So it seems that once we decide to pursue our dreams and goals, we need to understand that the journey is going to be very difficult. I mean, like, this is something I understood now. I was expecting that things are going to go well, people are going to appreciate me, and I'm going to go to college and everything will be, nice. But I learned a lesson now that if you have a big dream, if you want to make something big in life, you have to be willing to pay the price. You have to be willing to know that you're going to go through difficulties. But at the same time, we need to have a firm belief that whatever we're going through now, it's building us. It's creating that future that we're looking forward to achieve. And this is the price we need to pay for our dreams. Otherwise, we may decide to quit our dreams and our vision in life, and that's what most people do, and they just accept life the way it is. They accept any kind of work, they accept any kind of life, and once we reach old age, once we reach to the age of 70 or 80 or 90, we begin to regret that when I was young, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, I had a dream, I had a vision, but life didn't go my way. That's what most people do. They just complain that they never had a chance. But if we decide to struggle now, to pay the price for our dreams and our goals right now, it's true, it's going to be a difficult time. It will be a difficult journey, but once we become successful, once we see the results of our dreams, then we'll know that this is the right path and we'll be satisfied, fully satisfied with our life. I mean, I can think of a great example, the great Nelson Mandela. I'm extremely sure that Nelson Mandela knew that he needed to pay a price to free South Africa. He knew that. He knew that there's a big price he had to pay. So he was willing to go to prison. He was willing to go through all that hardship because he had a vision. He believed that at the end of the tunnel, at the end of that journey, there's a big reward waiting for him and all South Africans. That's all I had to say about that.
What does your family say about all this? So you kind of left, they wanted you to go in one direction. You decided, nope, I'm going to go down south. What do they say now? Do they share your perspective that you made the right decision?
Okay, to be honest about that, it's most of my family, they don't know exactly what I was doing in South Africa. What they know is that I just went to college and I struggled for 7 years just to get a master's degree. They don't know all the details I'm talking about right now. It's only, except my mom. It's a difficult feeling, when you're trying to achieve something great and people still don't understand that. But it's only my mother who understands a little bit of what I'm trying to do. And I have a friend here also in Egypt who somehow understands what I'm doing. But I realized that it's part of life. Like, I thought that once a person decides to achieve something great and good and all that, I thought that, people are going to come around me, people are going to encourage you, people are going to say, oh, great, we're going to help you. No, that doesn't actually work that way all the time. Most of the time, once you decide to pursue your own goal, your own dreams, your own path in life, at the beginning, we need to know that it's going to be a very lonely road. It's going to be a very difficult road. There will be a lot of hardships and pain. But we need to know that once we persevere and once we hold on to that vision, keep working on it every day, someday people are going to start saying, oh, who's this guy? What's this crazy guy doing? They'll think you're crazy at first, but then people start following you. They'll say, no, this guy believes in his vision. We're going to help him out. And this is what happens when people hold on to their dreams. But unfortunately, most people give up too early and they never realize their true potential.
Yeah, it's probably one of the saddest things in life when you never realize your full potential. As much as we all have just the one life, I think I speak for most people when I say that most of us wish for that day when you realize that you're now really living up to your full potential. I'm wondering, Amir, so far, the sense that I'm getting is that you're quite happy with how things turned out. You achieved, or first you pursued and then achieved your dreams. There was a lot of difficulty that you had to endure, but looking back, you say that it's not something that you would change. You will do it all over again. Right now, as we having this conversation, do you feel successful? Do you feel that you have succeeded? And in my mind, I'm asking a deep question. So I'm hoping that you're also experiencing the same thing. Because it's one thing to be successful, it's another to feel successful. I'm really curious to understand from your perspective whether you right now feel that you have succeeded.
Definitely, I do feel that I've succeeded. Not because I've achieved my goals. My goals are still very far away. I mean, like theoretical physics, I'm still studying every day. It's not going to end until I die. I'm going to continue going on studying all my life. But why I feel like it's not about it's not about feeling successful. That's what I used to believe before. Like we need to become successful to be happy. I had that belief system in me for so many years. But for the past 1 or 2 years, I began to realize something else, that happiness or success doesn't lie in achieving the end goal that you are trying to get. It's actually the journey itself, the journey, like seeing, like we may not get to our end goal that we have envisioned, but as long as we see progress, as long as we see, self growth every day, that itself is the true meaning of happiness. I mean, that's how I see happiness: growing every day, getting closer to your vision, to your goal every day. Even if you don't get to the end goal at the end of our lives, as long as there's improvement, as long as we're pushing the boundaries, because we all have limits. We as humans, we all have limits. I mean, for me, like my greatest limit is mathematics. I struggle in mathematics, so that actually it's one of my greatest limits. But I keep pushing every day, just pushing towards your dreams, even without getting the true meaning of happiness. I mean, I can think of the interview I'm having with you right now. It's a manifestation of my dreams. I mean, that's what I was dreaming about. I wanted to motivate people. I wanted to inspire people. Even if I don't get to that end goal, as long as I'm making progress, as long as I'm talking to people every day, as long as I'm trying to motivate the people, that gives me a sense of happiness that I'm actually pursuing my dream.
And as you're motivating people, like now I've listened to this and I feel motivated to want to do more and to not give up when faced with adversity. So you're doing the motivation, but who's motivating Amir? Like when the chips are down on your side and you feel like you can't go on anymore, what's your motivation? Who or what motivates you?
I think that's an extremely great question. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was waiting for that question. I was waiting for it. Yeah, that's. I think we all need that. We all need that answer, and I do believe most people know it. It's extremely simple, but the application is very difficult. The simple answer to this question is desire. It's all about desire. If you truly, strongly, and with so much intensity desire to achieve something that you're actually willing to die for it. I mean, when it gets to that point where you're willing to do anything, I don't mean anything illegal, but I mean, if you're willing to sacrifice almost anything to get to that goal, that's how you hold on during the times where there seems like no hope. I mean, I do remember, I can't actually count how many times I felt like giving up. I mean, to be honest, there were actually 2 times where I actually decided, not decided, but I really wanted to commit suicide. There were 2 times, I remember that. And I remember one of those times, I went to the internet, I was actually researching ways to kill myself without feeling pain. I was looking for a way to die, a painless death. And it took me so much time looking, like 2 3 hours. Then I decided, what am I doing now? I'm researching ways to kill myself. So I was thinking, why don't I research ways to live? Why don't I look for ways to live instead of looking for ways to die? No, it's very simple. I mean, it's just a mindset. Someone can say, look, I need to die. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to look for a way to kill myself. You can just replace this whole thought and just say, why don't I look for ways or reasons to live? Instead of investing energy to die, why don't I invest energy to live? And you'll find that your whole perception in life changes. Even if your circumstances are still the same, you'll find that ideas are coming to you. People are helping you. From nowhere, things are just going to happen. And circumstances will just change just because a person decides, instead of investing time and energy and looking for ways to fail or looking for ways to die, why don't I invest time and energy looking for ways to live, looking for ways to succeed? That's I mean, I believe that whole philosophy. I'm sure you have watched the movie Shawshank Redemption. Have you watched it?
Oh, yes.
So
No, I have Morgan Freeman. Yep.
Yeah, so you see that, you remember that quote when he said, I think it comes when Andy told Morgan Freeman, when he told him, I guess it comes down to a simple choice, get busy living or get busy dying. That's the whole thing. Instead of getting busy dying, get busy trying to live. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Wow. It's really powerful. Wow. I've never thought of it that way, that you can Google ways to die for weeks, months, but if you were spending all that time researching ways to live, wow, that's really powerful. I think out of this discussion or this conversation, for me, that's the takeaway. It's always fascinating that most people go through life trying to avoid death, whether you're in traffic. Most of our life choices are about avoiding death so that you can be alive the next day. And when you make the decision to take your life, to commit suicide, we spend time trying to figure out how to do it. I always thought it would be quite straightforward. Like, you jump into a dam, you shoot yourself. I mean, the opportunities are endless. But anyway, again, it's a discussion for another day. But thank you for sharing that perspective, Amir. Like, why focus on the negative when the positive is there? Why not rather latch on to that? But yeah, Amir, don't know if you have any last words for our listeners. I know I'm one of those people who wish we could continue having this conversation for a lot longer. I'm really not only enjoying the conversation, but I can feel my brain getting to work as I reconfigure how I view life. And thank you for that gift, the gift of influencing and changing my perspective. Amir, if you have any last words for our listeners, maybe someone is about to be sentenced to life in prison, 10 years in prison, maybe a challenge that you know is unavoidable, it's coming your way. As someone who has been through quite a bit, trying to make a life in a different country, very far away from family support, what would you say to someone who was currently faced with not a tough choice per se, but a life-changing moment is approaching them and all hope is leaving as they are starting to think about what to do next?
The only thing I can think about, and it's something that I've been always doing, and I've actually spoken about it just a few minutes ago. It's about getting busy living. That's the whole thing. Whatever situation you are in, or whatever you're going through, whatever life has thrown at us, I mean, whether it's with our choice or not, the only thing we have, the only choice, I mean, that's a choice as a human being we have, is to get busy living instead of getting busy dying. That's the only thing we can do. Looking for ways to live, looking for ways to, just looking for ways to live. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Never think about dying, because we never know. Like, circumstances change, things change. Even the law itself can change. Everything can change. Nothing is constant in this universe. Okay, maybe some physical constants in physics, maybe.
That's funny.
Some of them. Yeah. Speaking about life, no, life is completely unpredictable. We can never say, look, a person who's sentenced to prison, a person who has been in a tragedy, a person who has faced extreme difficulties, just focus on make yourself busy trying to live. You will find ways, and you'll find not one way, you'll find millions of ways to live. You'll find so many reasons to live once you focus on living. That's all I can say about that.
Amir, again, thank you for coming through to 1000 African Voices. talking to you is a reminder of why we started this show about 3 years ago, when we wanted to talk to influential Africans. And most people define influential Africans as celebrities that impact our lives on a day-to-day basis. But the reason we started the show was to find people like yourself in every country on the continent, whether that person is a celebrity or a relatively unknown person, as long as that person has a story to share with fellow Africans, we wanted to reach out and talk to those people. So today, I'm really glad that you reminded me of why we exist as 1,000 African Voices. This has really been an insightful conversation. I am glad to have met you, and hopefully our listeners will reach out to you and connect. And maybe on that note, Amir, those who will want to hear more and to connect with you a bit, how can people get hold of you?
It's, okay. I mean, right now it's, the point is that actually right now I'm in Cairo, so in Egypt. So it seems that the only possible way to connect is online. But I'm actually more than happy to have future interviews. I really want to talk to people more. I really want to speak more about, more details about the whole journey. What I want to do is spread. I want to spread to everyone the hope I had. I mean, the desire I had to live. I want to spread that to everyone, because I know that so many people go through difficult things. So many people go to similar difficulties, and all they want is someone to share with them some hope, someone who can give them hope that things are going to change. So for now, I can I believe the best way is online, because I'm still in Egypt right now.
Yep, and online, how do we find you? Are you on Twitter, LinkedIn? What are your social media handles?
It's okay. Unfortunately, I'm not so much into social media. I have a Facebook page, but I'm not really active on Facebook. I'll need to find a way actually to be able to connect with people online. But I mean, for now, it seems that the best way we can do that is interviews and all that, because I really don't have much social media. Perhaps I don't have much time for them. Just focusing on my goals for now. So I believe the best thing will be online interviews for now. Yeah.
Amir, again, thank you for sharing your story. You know that they always say when you wake up in the morning, you're always, in theory, different from the person that went to bed the night before. And I really believe that. That's why when I am 50 years old, I'm not the same person that I was when I was 30, because every single day you're changing, but that change is gradual. But sometimes it's the conversations that we have with other or fellow human beings that change who we are. After this conversation, I'm pretty sure that I'm not the same person that I was 40 minutes ago when we started talking. And for that, I have you to thank. So on that note, Amir,
I'm so happy. It's my pleasure.
Until next time, do enjoy Cairo life. Get busy living or get busy dying. You make the choice. Thank you, Amir.
Thank you, Abouelrous. You're welcome. I'm so happy talking to you today.
1,000 African Voices.
You've been listening to 1,000 African Voices. Please join us next time as we bring you another African voice. 1,000 African Voices is produced by me, Abouelrous, with Sam Garnich on sound production. For more information, including the contact details of our guests, visit us on our website 1000africanvoices.com. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes by searching for 1,000 African Voices. Please Please help us grow the project by logging on to 1000africanvoices.com to subscribe. Until next time, Kungana Africa, and take care.